What's up, YouTube? So due to the holidays coming, I'm going to have to slow down just a little bit, but things are going to pick right back up, so don't be too worried. But I'm going to end up doing a toolbox tour today. I watched one on Calvin's Garage just recently. I thought it was a great idea. I know I've seen it in the past, but never ran it kind of clicked on my mind lately, so I've decided to do one myself. And I've got some things to clean up first. Obviously this tool cart and the top of the bench and the top of the toolbox. So I'm going to straighten a bunch of stuff out, and then we're going to go through the drawers and see what I have in this thing. But first, I actually received something in the mail that I did a little unpackaging about, and so I'll show you that clip now. So it was about 2 weeks ago I noticed in my YouTube feed that for 24 hours Mighty Car Mods had a kind of a free additional thing if you spent $35 or more. So they were going to include the chopped flag and just a little MCM sticker I was going to put on my toolbox. And I ended up ordering a shirt that was pretty much $35. But I don't know if everything's come in this package, because at the checkout it never actually said that I was going to be getting a flag. So I've got the package here. They actually got their own package, Mighty Car Mods, in a packing envelope of some kind. So I'm going to tear it open and see if I actually got a flag. And we're good. We're good, people. So I got just one of their probably cheaper Mighty Car Mod stickers, which will end its way up onto the toolbox. That appears to be the flag. And this is the shirt that I ordered. It is a long sleeve. And it's just got Mighty Car Mod's logo on the front of it. And then the back is a little bit more detailed. Mighty Car Mods Automotive, driveway modding, do it yourself. So I thought that was a pretty cool shirt, definitely something I'm going to wear. And to get the sticker and the flag, I get some YouTube swag for a good price. So here's the flag. So definitely something I can just kind of figure out a spot in my garage, and eventually I'll have this place covered in flags. But that's awesome, boys. Thank you very much for putting out that kind of deal. I'm sure you sold lots of merch in that amount of time, 24 hours. Glad I jumped on it. Should be a little bit more gentle. Bang. The shirt's actually really good quality. It's not thin. It's actually a nice, thick, long sleeve shirt. And the flag, I mean, I've got 3 in here now. I just got to kind of figure out where I'm going to put the thing, but it is going to go up somewhere. So yeah, I got to do my little cleanup, and then we'll be right back, and we'll go through the box. So I've got all the tools put away, and got everything reasonably cleaned up. I gave the toolboxes a wipe down, and you know, just kind of tried to organize a little bit. There's some tools that are probably in areas they might not supposed to be, because you know, I have a certain way of organizing my box, and it's been that way for so long that you just kind of get used to always going to the same area for the same kind of tools. I did actually rearrange them a little bit when I set them up in my garage here, but for the most part it's been the way since I started. I bought that tool, this chest and cabinet, probably 15 years ago, and I still have it. And this one's probably about just over 4 or 5. It's about 4 or 5 years old. They're both Mastercraft Max, or like this one's the Maximum series from that long ago, and this is like the new Mastercraft box, but it's even old now. Basically up top here, I mean, it becomes a bench so fast, but I kind of like to leave it as a desktop with having the keyboard and mouse right here and the monitor to jump on and you know, get information and whatnot. I have lots of LED lamps. I just love using LED lights. They're usually all charged up, and if one starts to run low, I can just plug it in and use the next one. You need lots of light when you're working. This thing, I don't. It uses batteries and it doesn't work very well, but I still have it there just in case. Of course, the PC's got the whole stereo set up and sits up there, kind of thing. This is usually a junk pile as well, but I got my little scanner there. This is not actually my timing light. It was my timing light, but I traded something for it a long time ago, and I borrowed it to actually do the timing on the 240 just for fun's sake, because I thought I was going to drive it longer, which I may still do. But I'd like to get that back from him, actually. Like, and you know, I just keep like knives and a couple pens and whatever up top. Actually, all my little LED bulbs are kind of up here, and ear protection, eye protection, nose protection. You should have all that stuff. So the first drawer is screwdrivers, picks, and this is like a whole security bit set. You get those cheap online. These little kits, this little ratcheting bit driver is just absolutely amazing. It's got me out of so many jams. An old knife that I've had forever. So yeah, like everything from big screwdrivers, you know, the cheap Mastercraft, to all the way to Snap-on. That was like one of my first Snap-on screwdrivers right there. You know, everything Robertson, Phillips, standard. The next drawer is just more drivers. So I mean, I've got a couple double kits. You can see there's another later model Snap-on, and then even the later model Snap-on. So I you know, went a little overboard at some point buying them. I've got the really long Snap-on drivers. You know, even a Phillips, getting those really weird positions that you get into. A couple Allen keys over here, and I do have I've got a file set in here. You know, a few files. There's a pick that should be up here. And then Torx drivers as well. They're just kind of scattered through here. And the next drawer is a couple socket holders, actually. But I rarely use this drawer anymore. It's all my standard wrenches, a few extras over here, and a bunch of stubbies. But I don't usually actually need them anymore, because metric covers so much of this that I mean, you can jump into a 7/8 wrench and it's 22 millimeter, and you just start to, well, I've memorized them, but there's a couple, you know, tight ones, like 9/16 is a little different, and so you always want to have them. And then this drawer here is metric. So these are all metric ratcheting wrenches, metric line wrenches, and all metric stubbies. A whole pile of extras down there. And then I hide this kit for myself because it's a brand new Torx kit, and I just don't want to start using them yet. The next drawer is metric wrenches, so 2 full sets, and the big wrenches in the back, they go up to 32 millimeter. The next drawer is kind of a junk drawer, so I've got everything from, you know, what I feel is might be get me out of a jam, kind of gaskets, O-rings, spark plugs, A couple of my own exhaust gaskets that I like to keep for my own stuff. Just extra chargers, those lights that I'm thinking of putting in the 240 possibly. This is actually the rebuild kit for the WRX calipers. The next drawer is getting into diagnostics. So test light, there's a cheap meter that I use for my ammeter, 10 amp ammeter. I've got my good Mac Logic Probe meter there. This is a noise light set for checking fuel injectors, or fuel injector circuits I should say. There's a map sensor I can kind of play with. Lots of jumper wire, packs of resistors in here for some odd reason. I've got, wire tang disconnect tools. There's a logic probe there. I'll show you ground and power. This is actually a fuel gauge out of a GM vehicle that still works, and you'd be surprised what kind of gauges you can test with this. Everything from oil pressure to fuel gauges. It's a good thing to have in your toolbox, and you can actually use it as a diagnostic tool. Battery cleaner. The next drawer is kind of supplies. I got lots of zip ties in here. This wire here I used to check for shorts on that I need to get far away from the battery with a test light. I've had that for so many years, but I mean that's a tool to me. Lots of extra relays, extra wire, another, oh, looks like an old test light, some butt connectors and eyelets, and zip ties of all kind of different sizes and shapes. Next drawer we've got, this is more like chisel sets and punches, thread files. That's an impact driver, that kind of deal. Extractor bits, a whole other extractor set over here that's kind of terrible, but it's still in there. The next drawer, we get into more engine diagnostics. So I've got an oil pressure gauge, a vacuum gauge, fuel pressure gauge, vacuum pump, small bicycle pressure pump that I'm able to adapt so I can use it to pump little actuators and stuff. Lots of fuel injection clamps that I just ordered, some toothbrushes for cleaning throttle bodies and whatnot, lots of different hose and connectors, brass fittings all through there. There's actually an ignition tester. Yeah. This next drawer is a little bit for like doing engine work or clutch jobs. I got a lot of lineup keys from all the clutch jobs I've done all of my life, and got some O2 sensor sockets, oil pressure socket, some oil filter wrenches. There's my dial tool there. There's a vernier caliper, a compression tester, coolant tester, stethoscope there. This is a really awesome ignition tester. Shouldn't be buried so deep actually. This last drawer is all brake tools, flaring kits, some tools down here, tools for doing drum brakes, pushing back your caliper, a little tube bender, vacuum bleeder, this little canister I can use for bleeding with the vacuum bleeder up in the other drawer, spring lock tool, just all brake stuff. few little brake parts down in here. Entire package of stuff for bleeding, brass fittings down there, some caliper pins for Subaru down there. And now we move on to the big box. So first I got this set of sockets on sale during Black Friday. So these are just metric 12-point sockets, which I got for $20 Canadian. And you can see in this first drawer, this one socket from Snap-on. It's a 14mm, doing Subaru blocks, or I can't remember, yeah, cylinder heads, or that one socket cost me more than that entire kit did. So but yeah, this is the main socket drawer. There's a lot of stuff disorganized and loose, and probably broken stuff throughout here a little bit, but some of the larger sockets for doing axles, it's like your Toyota Volkswagen socket, all the extensions down here, more ratchets over at this end, and then these are kind of like my quick grabs, so I'll take this entire set of metric 3/8 sockets deep and just use that on my tray. All my flex sockets at the back there, more flex sockets, the triple square, the security bit Torx, hex Torx, external Torx, some quarter drive to quick grab. These sockets here are a multi-point socket. They'll get out some really strange things. They'll work in some where you just you don't have the socket. Sometimes that'll get it off, or it's helped me in a couple jams actually. These will be more torque sockets to break. And I'm just even noticing in the back here some crow's feet that I never ever use. Speed handle. My torque wrenches usually sit in here as well. Now we'll just work our way down the left side of the box. This first drawer is snap ring pliers, sheet metal cutters. So I've got some very large sets of snap ring pliers and a bunch of smaller sets for doing everything from really tiny snap rings to very large snap rings. These are an awesome pair of pliers for clamping CV boot clamps. If you don't have to use these on your CV boot clamp, you've got the wrong clamps. And I don't mean the wrong tool, the wrong clamp. This is another very cool tool for taking off hoses. You just kind of put that on the end of the spring clamp, and then you can squeeze the end and it'll pinch the spring clamp for you in a very awkward position. I've had that tool forever. I can't believe the cables never broke on me. And then there's actually another pair of snap ring pliers for grabbing them, and then you can kind of twist them around and still use the pliers. This next drawer is another kind of scatter drawer. Kind of little specialty things for taking apart interior. There's like those line clamps in there, scrapers, there's a hose hook there, there's another scraper, and kind of getting plastic clips out and whatnot. There's actually a little thermometer for checking the vent temperature. This tool works great for getting off stubborn battery terminals and also wiper arms. It's a wiper arm puller, but works great on battery terminals that just are on there. And then a bunch of AC line disconnect tools. The whole set will be in there, and this is a full entire kit of fuel line AC disconnect for disconnecting quick connects. This guy's a little special, but I'm going to show you how that works another time. Now we get into very large C-clamps, small C-clamps, pipe wrenches, my very large set of channel locks. So this drawer here is for doing electrical. So this is actually the first soldering iron kit that I ever bought, probably when I was like 18 or 19, and I have a soldering pen in there as well. That still actually works pretty good, but I bought this much larger one for doing some heavier wire, and it works awesome. Heat gun for doing various stuff, lots of shrink tube in there, electrical tape and solder. There's a cheap little wire holder. This lamp, that's a diagnostic tool, but I'll show you what I use that for some other time. This bottom drawer kind of became this drawer since I've lived here. So as the toolboxes came in, I was like, well, where am I going to put all this stuff? And this became the drawer for it. So just power tools, the grinder, and a couple saws, sander. It's kind of jammed in there, but the drawer is big enough to hold it. Now moving on to the right side. This is a plier drawer, so everything from like wire strippers to crimpers to cutters to vice grips. Some of these I've had for a very long time, and got like the extended reach. Those are great for brake cables. So this is obviously for my impact guns, 3/8 half inch. That's another half inch. These are some grinders just waiting to go into service when the other ones wear out. This is my standard gun that I use all the time. This is actually a snap-on gun that cost me quite a pretty penny. If that doesn't get it loose, that almost always does. And, I try and leave it there for when I need it, and don't use it out. Don't use it so I wear it out. In this last drawer is pretty much the demolition drawer. So all the hammers, lots of pry bars. That's my inner tie rod tool. Let me keep the seatbelt sling in there for when I pull motors. There's usually chain in here. A couple straps for holding stuff out of the way when I'm working. So yeah, this video is definitely longer than I expected. It is a lot to go through, and I kind of wanted to show you generally what I have in my toolboxes. I've spent a lot of money, and it's a collection over time. It's not something you just want to drop a bomb on, because you don't know exactly what you need until you start needing it, and then you go and buy it, and that's how you'll accumulate so much. There comes a point where you have to stop, though. You don't need to get into all these specialty kits that you just use once or twice. Now if you're working in a place where you just generally need that tool all the time, you're doing that job all the time, and the place that you're working for can't supply it for you, then you'll have to buy it, especially if you want to be able to do everything. And keep in mind, this is not all my tools. We still have there'll be another episode where we actually go through all the kits that I use, because there is quite a few of them in there, and then basically just the other little equipment kind of things that I have in the shop that I'm using regularly to do the work that I'm doing in here. So I'd like to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. I'm gonna probably take Sunday's video off just because I'll be busy and I might not have the time to actually edit and make something. So but expect something next week, and come back with something else. So if you like this video, definitely give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button for me. Leave your questions and comments further down below, and I'll see you in the next one.